Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Dan Cordelicchio. I want to welcome you to a special version of Destination Health and Podcast. And I'm here with a good friend of mine, Dr. Irene Cop. Dr. Irene, how are you today?
I'm awesome. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast, Dr. Dan.
It's always good having you on the podcast. How many times have you been on our podcast?
Not enough.
Not enough. Is that like a little dig where you need to be invited more?
No, I just say we have so much fun that,
Yes, we do.
Do one every single week or more, and we'd never run out of things to talk about.
Never run out of things to talk about. And we have some exciting news that we're going to be discussing today. Dr. Irene is an elite performance psychology trainer, founder and CEO of the Stress to Success S.H.I.F.T Institute, which I am a member of. So executive coaching, leadership development, corporate training, team building, healthcare consulting, life coaching. Today, we are going to be talking about a lunch and learn that we're going to be having on October 21st. We're going to learn the three secrets to shift from stress to success in all areas of your life. This is an important topic, and this is a topic that it seems like everybody's discussing this topic these days. A lot of stress going on, right, Dr. Irene?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the last couple of years for everyone globally has put us all in chronic stress mode now, which is why we, the team and I, decided that it was time to do this virtual lunch and learn, so that we can provide value and support in any way we can. And let's shift out of am I allowed to swear?
Well, people are listening in.
Okay, shift from the poop to the shift without the F to to success. Because one of the things I teach my clients is that success is an inside out job. We keep waiting for the opportunities to come in, for us to find our purpose, to find our way. And we're not happy, but we don't know what'll make us happy. And I'm not, throwing judgment here. It's a fact. Mm-hmm. And also people go, well, you're a doctor. What are you doing talking about success? And the reality, and I know I'm preaching to the choir here, Dr. Dan, is that just as success is an inside out job, guaranteed, if you're floundering in one area of your life, career, finances, you're floundering elsewhere. You're floundering in your health and energy, your relationships, your personal life. And stress and burnout, it's a little pet peeve of mine that the World Health Organization says, and the classic view of burnout is that it's only workplace related and it's only mental and emotional. Mm-hmm. Whereas to me, that's just number one, it's narrow-minded, narrow-focused, because COVID taught us it's not just workplace, right? It's it's juggling all your responsibilities at home and people getting sick, maybe yourself getting sick, breaking a leg, like it doesn't even have to be COVID, right? And on top of that, it's not just mental and emotional. And number one, I want to blast the stigma of around mental health and emotional health out of the water, because chronic stress impacts us in very physical ways. And I know that you could name them just as well as I could, Dr. Dan. And so that's why I coined the term flame out syndrome, which I believe is like one of the first things we ever talked about.
Yes, it was. That was our first podcast, probably 18 months ago. For those of you who are listening, I've been through Dr. Irene's program. It has helped me out significantly over the past couple of months. And we're going to get into that on another podcast, but I will attest to this. And for those listeners that listen to us on a regular basis, I just don't come out and I say that. So that's saying something. So Dr. Irene's program was put together and it's very specific and it's helped me out significantly. Everybody knows I'm stressed. excuse me, everybody knows I got, offices all over, partners calling me, oh, we're in Oklahoma today. Okay, I got an office in Oklahoma, Dr. Irene. I think I do. Or is it Tennessee? I don't know. But anyway, needless to say, it's one of those situations where everybody's stressed. And if you look at this, what's coming out of it and what I think a positive, because you always have to look at a silver lining too. It's incredibly terrible what's happened, recently. And but you got to look at the silver lining in addition to, and people are understanding that, got to take care of the stress. You got to take care of this burnout, this flame out. And, health is very important today. Mental, physical, emotional, the whole gamut is extremely important. And this is where your genius, where you've developed this program, comes in. So for those of that you're listening, we're going to have a link, not today, hopefully Friday, we'll have a link and we're going to send that link out. So this is going to be a free lunch and learn on October 21st. So Dr. Irene, what are the 3 secrets? What's number 1?
You want me to tell you the secrets?
I do want you to tell me the secrets. Yes, I do. And
For
we do
only
have
your
people.
audience. You got to
we do
promise
have-
not to tell anyone.
All right, we're not going to tell anybody. That's it. Podcast is over. So we do have people listening in. So
Awesome.
if anybody does have a question for Dr. Irene, you can put it into the comment section and we'll answer them today. If not, it's okay. You can still put a comment in and we will make sure that your question gets answered. So Dr. Irene, can you share one secret and then we can go for maybe 2 or maybe 3, but let's start off with one secret, Dr. Irene.
One secret. Okay, so high overview. The whole purpose of what I teach, whether it's to help people with physical, mental, emotional health conditions, even burnout, flame out, stress, whatever you want to call it, or even if they're like feeling pretty good and they want to be more successful and maybe they just feel like they've hit a glass ceiling. I always think of like, okay, this is showing my age. Do you remember Get Smart?
I do.
Dr. Dan and, the cone of silence, that big glass cone where they would go in and stand inside. And
no, I don't remember that. I'm sorry.
I'm calling, brown stuff there. Just saying.
And I'm older than you, so if you remember it, therefore. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And unless you were like out in the boonies somewhere and didn't have a TV. So the cone of silence is that I liken it to that, like the glass walls and ceiling that are all around you, and you're trying so hard to break through, right? You may feel like you're doing everything right. I'm trying so hard. Why is nothing working? Why can't I create more revenue? Why can't I get the job I really want? Why can't I get the lover I really want? Why can't I, why can't? It's not fair. Why? And the reality is because there is a block. That glass cone, the cone of silence around you that is blocking you. So the harder you try, it's like it's actually just bouncing back on you. So that's one of the things that we talk about is why you have been trying so hard to have the health, wealth, happiness, the life you want, and you feel like you're blocked at every turn. And it's not your fault. Here's the secret. There's a villain to blame. And you're going to have to listen into the live and learn. We're changing the name of this, the lunch and learn, to find out what it is, because that's not something I can just tell in 30 seconds and do justice to it. However, just know that there is something that is hidden that you may have never, ever considered, and likely haven't, because frankly, if you had, you wouldn't be blocked.
That's right. And
right?
we do have a friend of mine listening in right now, Dennis Stoika. Dennis, how are you? He's been on my
Hi, Dan.
podcast. And Dennis, we are talking about shifting from stress to success. And Dennis is also an executive coach, business coach, and I've had him on the podcast, and he's very good also. So Dennis, if you have any questions for Dr. Irene, shoot away, and I'll call you later on. So you and I are going to talk about a couple of things. So
Awesome.
what is this stress? Why is it so bad? Why is it so bad for us?
Because first and foremost, let me back up and say over 80 years ago, and you think we would have learned something in those 80 years, but over 80 years ago, Dr. Hans Selye, who was an endocrinologist, a hormone doctor, was doing research, and he determined, he's considered the father of stress. And because he was the one who coined the term stress and fight or flight, right? Like survival mode, that's really what fight or flight, and it's really and freeze, right? So you're either like, and you're hardwired that you either, as soon as you go into survival mode where you feel a threat or you perceive a threat, you either go into fight, like a honey badger would say, like, right, go into aggression, or you want to run away, kind of like a gazelle, or you freeze like a bunny rabbit, like shivering, like, please don't notice me, right? In other words, you're paralyzed. So just like with animals, we are hardwired for that initial stress response, and it's meant to be instinctive, and it's hardwired into us, that it's just part of us. Like total transparency, I freeze like a deer caught in the headlights when I'm totally stressed. Others go into Hulk mode, right? Others are like, I'm gone, right? It's like they don't even think about it. And that's the key, is that when you're in survival mode, it's like giving yourself a frontal lobotomy. It totally wipes out what's called your prefrontal cortex, which is your brain's executive team. It's your rock star team. It's your logic, your decision making, your creativity, your motivation, your ability to actually initiate the action you need to take, and your emotional inhibition. Like, in other words, if you're hardwired to go into Hulk mode, the last thing you need to do is to go, so is this a good time to go into Hulk mode? Or maybe I should like go to anger management instead? No, it's like survival, right? That's
how come you're talking about Hulk mode a lot, Dr. Irene?
I don't know, Dr. Dan. Why am I talking about Hulk mode?
Anyway.
So in other words, it's important that happens when you are first perceive that threat, because it's not the time, evolutionarily speaking, to say, oh, there's a saber-toothed tiger running at me. Should I stop and fight? Should I run away? What should I do here? No, it's like you got to move into action, whatever, and hope for the best. So that's the acute phase, right? We all experience that back, say, March of last year. And I've taught stress management and resilience training for years, and have tons of tools and resources and tips. And I experienced it at some level.
Well, we all experience it at some level, 100%.
Oh, exactly. And as say we went further along in COVID, we started into the long haul. And it's a different type of long haul COVID. This is long haul stress, right? It's where you can't keep sprinting away from the saber-toothed tiger. In other words, it becomes a marathon. And so different chemicals, hormones take over. Your cortisol is your stress hormone, and it's a necessary part of keeping you alive. Now, here's the thing. Your prefrontal cortex is still offline and really doesn't fully come back, even like a fraction, right? That's why you may be experiencing brain fog,
Mm-hmm.
right? And poor memory, and cortisol, impacts your sleep and makes you gain weight because it's your body feels like, that it may be in starvation mode, right? Like, in other words, it needs to hoard the energy.
Right.
And so cortisol impacts your body and can lead to obesity and diabetes and heart disease and
Right.
cancer and autoimmune conditions and susceptibility to viral infections,
Right.
like COVID.
Right.
And this is why it's so important to understand this, that it's not just the mental and emotional. It has very real physical impacts. And cortisol gets a bad rap, and really it's just doing what it's designed to do. In other words, when you're in survival mode, you care about whether you're going to live and die right now, not 20 years down the road. And the challenge is that this is accelerated. COVID has just accelerated, and it's like the icing on the top of the cake.
Mm-hmm.
We were already stressed before. Over 50% of people were burned out before, especially in certain disciplines, like you and I are both doctors, right? Over 50% of doctors admitted to being burned out prior to COVID.
Right.
And now burnout has reached over 90% in many areas.
Right.
People are feeling the effects. They're leaving the workplaces.
Yes.
And we are seeing the next pandemic, and that's not just me saying this, the medical community is saying mental health is the next pandemic. Again, I'm also saying, and back to the medical community, for those of you who are listening, that we are going to see, it's a natural consequence that we are going to see an uptick in all of the physical conditions, which are contributing to our greatest killers globally, that kill more people every single year than COVID has. Right? It was bad before, chronic disease, that, Dr. Dan, that's one of your specialties.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And we need to get to the root cause of it. And that is what this is all about. It's helping our listeners and our participants develop real resilience and understand that stress affects us differently. And I talk about the fight or flight or the Hulk mode.
Mm-hmm.
And there's actually different ways, even beyond that stress impacts each and every one of us. And so what works for me is not necessarily what's going to work for you.
Right. 100%.
Right. And that's why the third secret is the top success formula. Like, what do you need to start climbing out of the stress, to shift, as I love to say, into success mode?
Right. 100%.
And
the door just opened up behind me a couple of times. I think my son, he printed something out on the printer. I'm in my home office and he's got a test tomorrow. So I'm assuming that he printed out his little study guide. So I was like, what's that door doing open? Anyway, let me ask you a question, because I know that, patients ask me, and, and I don't have the answer because it's not my wheelhouse. Can stress be good for you too sometimes? Is there in any instances that stress can be positive?
Absolutely.
What are some of those instances?
So Dr. Selye said, and I love to quote him on this: stress is neither good nor bad, but thinking makes it so.
Right.
In other words, it's your mindset.
Right.
And how you choose to perceive it. In other words, stress can make you ramp up and go into performance mode, right? Whether it's going out to perform on a stage or write an exam like your son, or a job interview, right? Like, it gives you that edge. Gives you that edge. And the biggest thing and the biggest shift is in the mindset. It's understanding that we have choice and control,
Mhm.
in every situation. One of my heroes, Dr. Viktor Frankl, who survived 4 Holocaust death camps, said, everything can be taken from a man but one thing, his ability to think and his ability to respond in any given situation. And that response is, crap is going to happen. Life is always going to throw you curveballs. I almost said COVID balls, which fits as well. And
Oh, that door just
how
opened
are you-
again. I don't
and
know.
how are you going
I
to
think I got a
perceive
little
it?
munchkin running around here, or a big munchkin. I'm
Is he
sorry. Go
like
ahead.
crawling so he doesn't get seen?
He's crawling. He's crawling.
Right.
He's being good. He's laughing right now. There you go. There's a hand that just came up.
Yeah, it's a mission
Hey,
impossible.
James.
He's Mission Impossible.
There you go.
I'm sorry, Dr. Irene.
No, this is the nature of life, right? When I'm on my podcast, the Self Heal podcast, people, kids are walking in, as I'm interviewing the guest. I mean, it's
Right.
just it's part of life, right?
Yeah.
It's just the way of it. So, yes, the number one thing that can shift a stress from being a bad stress to a so-called good stress is how you respond to it. In other words, you have the choice to be the victim of your story, and where you feel powerless and everything is being done to you, or you can be the hero of your story. And even if it's saying, yes, this happened, and I love to say that you experience success because of adversity.
Mhm.
It's not success despite adversity.
Mm-hmm.
It's success because of adversity, because
right.
adversity is it's like going to the gym to lift weights, to build muscle, right? It's
Mhm.
like, so the adversity is helping us build our mental, our emotional, our energetic, and I'll say spiritual
Mhm.
muscle. In other words, it's about, to be truly successful, this is the inside out job, is that
Mhm.
you need to become the person you need to be to
Right.
do
I
what
agree
you
with you
do
100. You and I've discussed this
have.
offline a lot.
Yeah.
Yes, I totally agree with you 100%. This is all very fascinating, Dr. Irene. This is all very interesting. I think the world needs this now. So this is going to be great. So when is it? It's October 21st.
October 21st, Thursday, October 21st at
Virtual,
12
virtual,
noon
free,
Eastern. Virtual. It's
12
free.
p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're putting together a link for this for you to come. And we're going to be doing another live cast in a few days, and hopefully we'll have the link. We just want to introduce what we're going to do, what Dr. Irene's going to do, because I think this is extremely vital and extremely important that we're able to serve humankind this way. And I think that's extremely important. So tell me, we got about a minute or so left. Any last thoughts or any last comments, Dr. Irene?
Yes, for your listeners who don't know me, the reason I'm so passionate about this is because 18 years ago, I almost killed my young sons and myself in a car accident, a catastrophic car accident, because I was burned out and didn't know it as a doctor. And this has become my ikigai, the Japanese for getting out of bed every morning. What's my reason? What's my raison d'etre? Whereas my big purpose is that if I can help even one other person, one other family avoid what my family and I went through and suffered through, then I would be successful. That is my definition of success for me, my fulfillment. And that is why I've created this virtual lunch and learn. So it's free. It's jam-packed full of information and tools, and that you'll be able to put into action as soon as you leave the lunch and learn. Just up to you, pack your lunch and get ready and invite others because
Absolutely.
you're going to be able to have an amazing conversation after this.
Right. And we're going to have the link, and we'll share the link with everybody in a couple of days. And so that you can sign up. Again, it's free. Virtual lunch and learn. I'm going to be there. I'm still learning. I'm part of the Stress to Success Shift Institute. I don't have an official title yet, but we'll have to figure that out at one time.
He's the comedian.
I'm the comedian, right?
He's the comedian. He brings the comedy, the fun, the lighthearted, because fun
Yes.
gets more done.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm the director of
and
comedy.
he's the doctor.
I'm the doctor of comedy.
He's the
I'm
doctor
in
of comedy.
DC. I'm a DC
Yeah,
doctor.
there you
of
go.
comedy.
You are a DC.
I am a DC. I'm the doctor of comedy. So that's a
I
good
think
way
you
to
need to
put it.
change your tagline.
There you go. I'm going to have to change that. Dr. Irene, thank you very much for being on. We're going to be back in a couple of days. We'll have the link. We're going to discuss a little bit more about what we're going to do and how we're going to be able to serve you and to serve humankind. I want to thank everybody for listening in today. Until the next time, live your best life. Get ready to sign up October 21st, Thursday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Lunch and learn. Lunch and learn. Thank you very much, Dr. Irene, for being on today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. And until the next time, like I said, live your best life. Take care now.